I want to start here, House, when it comes to the league as a whole. I think the two of us, the three of us, can't even count. And that's what happens when I'm going through the All-Star break doldrums. You look at the East and you look at the West and you say, wow, there's a clear-cut front runner. Oklahoma City profiles as that in the Western Conference. Boston, of course, despite Cleveland's great regular season, profiles as that with their pedigree and the fact that they're the reigning defending NBA champions. But if we go back to last year, House, it felt like we were on a Boston-Denver collision course. Despite the Denver Nuggets not being the championship team that they were, it still was the Joker. You still had your questions about OKC. You still had your questions about Minnesota. And I think if we were having this conversation at this time last year, you'd say, wow, odds on it's going to be Boston and Denver. We know that didn't happen. Boston held up their end of the bargain. Dallas came out of nowhere, had a great second half, went on to the NBA Finals. So I ask you this, sir. If there's going to be a party crasher, and this year the party crasher would be somebody other than Boston or Oklahoma City, who do you have profiled as that party crasher?
It's Denver. I think Denver is poised right now in the West because they got healthy at the right time. They've been on a nice winning streak as they arrived upon this All-Star break. And, some of those young guys getting some of that time has actually, paid dividends. Now, here's the thing. Joker is averaging a 30-point triple-double. Like the best season ever in the history of the NBA by a big man. And it seems like it's sustainable. And the biggest turnaround by far, it is like they acquired a player, for this season, is Jamal Murray's turnaround. He's back. Jamal Murray, that guy, he dropped 55 on the last game right before they went to break. So the stuff is kind of coming together. The version of this team, they couldn't get it last season because of health. And because in retrospect, and Malone said this at the end of the season, they pressed too hard to try and get the 1 seed in the Western Conference, and it cost them. I mean, they were exhausted down the stretch, and they got, run out the gym in the second round, really by virtue of fatigue dream. So I like Denver out of the West. I like the old heads. I like the season that Joker's having. If they're healthy, that would be my pick.
So I agree with House. I think there's two teams in the West who could crash the party, and I think it's the Denver Nuggets. And if you look at them, they're 13-1 to win the NBA title, and it's the Los Angeles Clippers.
The Clippers. Wow. Okay. Interesting, Raheem.
If you look at the Los Angeles Clippers, you're talking about a team that has a top 5 defense. They're second in the defensive rating, allowing 109 points per 100 possessions. And if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, and he's looked like he's able to move. He just looks a little rusty right now. If he's able to just raise the ceiling of that offense, which I think he can, and James Harden, he is a system in itself. And you look at Norm Powell, he's a guy who's a 6th man of the year candidate. If they can put that offense together, I think they have a real shot at making some noise in the Western Conference. But I got to remind everybody, this Oklahoma City Thunder team is a juggernaut on a level that we haven't really seen before. They have the best SRS of all time. They have 44 wins and are on pace for 67 wins. Their SRS is better than the 96 Bulls. Their SRS is better than the 71 Bucks. Their SRS is better than the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors with KD and Steph. And it's better than the 73-9 Warriors. So they're performing like the best team of all time. And I think this team is very similar to what we just saw in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles, because despite the models and all the numbers saying how good they are, it feels like people still don't believe in them yet.
And it's interesting, Raheem, and I think the reason House we're seeing that is because it's still a younger team. And I think a lot of folks who maybe have questions about Oklahoma City just go back to what happened last year in the postseason against the Dallas Mavericks, where they're trying to figure out, well, what went wrong in that particular series. So it's interesting. Raheem threw out 2 teams in the Western Conference. He also mentions these metrics involving Oklahoma City and where they profile, hey, greatness, a lot of different ways. Yet no teams in the Eastern Conference, House. I guess that just speaks to, hey, I don't like the Knicks. I don't like the Cavs' chances of going and beating the Celtics. Is that it, Raheem?
So I don't like the Knicks. I just have to be honest with you. I just think when you look at the two games against the Boston Celtics, they lost them by combined 50 points. That shows you that the gap between those two teams is very far. Now, I do like the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I still just trust the Boston Celtics more. And ultimately, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have to show me that they can beat this Boston Celtics team in order for me to come up off of my position.
Yeah, I agree with Dream. I will say in this time between the Super Bowl and these All-Star festivities, probably a little bit too much time for me to be in on the FanDuel Sportsbook looking at combinations and thinking about where's value, because one of the things that I have done already is bet on a whole bunch of different combinations for NBA finalists. The Cleveland Cavaliers against the Denver Nuggets, 26-1.
Ooh,
I kind of like that. You know what I mean?
I don't think Cleveland's getting there, but at that number, House,
right.
I like it.
And it creates some hedge possibilities on kind of both sides of it. But I do think Cleveland, to me, they are legit, and they can give Boston a run because of their size. We have to see it. They have to have both Mobley and Jared Allen healthy for this playoff run. But they got stronger on defense. We talked about this, post trade deadline. I love the addition of DeAndre Hunter. They can defend all the way out to the perimeter, and that's the formula. You better be able to do that against Boston. But I do think they have a size advantage, and that's part of why I think Cleveland is live. I agree with Dream about the Knicks. The Knicks are fine. Like, to me, they're on a kind of like a 3-year run here, and they're in year 1 of 3 because they have all these guys under contract. They just don't have the size. They have to have a solution for this Mitchell Robinson problem, and I think they will get there, but they can't. It's not going to work out this year, to me, JJ.
Well, and we'll see come Sunday where the Knicks will be taking on the Celtics again. And to Raheem's point, they got absolutely slaughtered in the first 2 matchups. And the way the Eastern Conference bracket looks, with Cleveland basically running away with the 1 seed, and with the Knicks having a sizable gap between who's at 4 and who's at 5, well, what does that mean? That means in the second round of the playoffs, barring something unforeseen, it would be the Knicks and it would be the Celtics, which would be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of back and forth between the two hated rivals, the city. I haven't had Knicks-Celtic playoff series in a while, but there's no way in the world I'm picking the Knicks to win that series unless they show me, hey, they can actually go and match up with the Celtics. So that's fair. Raheem, that Denver price, House threw it out there. I'm not invested yet. I think that's a juicy number. What you get, House? 13-1, 14-1?
For which?
To win a title.
Oh, for Denver, they're 13-1 on the FanDuel Sportsbook as we speak right now.
I love it. I want to get involved. Good investment, bad investment.
I don't think it's a bad investment. I haven't got involved yet. I still kind of want to wait things out, but I do think it's a solid investment because our very own Brian Barrett, he says the Denver Nuggets are the one team that he's scared of as a Boston Celtics fan, and I think that's true.
Listen, when you got the Joker on your side, you can totally understand why. We got a lot cooking